Hello and welcome to this introduction to the new Arpeggio feature, which is available for Böhm Sempra models. If you've got an SE model running version 2.0 upwards, you can add the Arpeggio package to your instrument. And this will give you a fabulous, really fabulous arpeggiator. So you can actually use this in conjunction with your styles. You can have it running on its own. So for example here we've got just a left hand bass voice and a manual bass. Okay, so that leads me into my song. It's just there's no arpeggiator triggered here at this stage. This is just me using a live, and this is the key thing to this. It's live. There's no playback, no pre-recording, no multi-track. It's live, so you've got complete control over this at your fingertips while you're playing. And that guitar is awesome, especially with the pitch bend. You can got a modulation control, which is up. Now if I press my verse 1 button, this will then set the keyboard up. It'll trigger the introduction with a 4-beat count, so I know when to come in. So if I play my chord now, and if I go to my bridge, you can hear something extra in the backing. When I turn the parts off, here is my arpeggiator. Cool, isn't it? Really wonderful effect. I can just control the volume of the slider, and it's playing away merrily, and it's just using 2 of the arpeggiated parts. I can turn them on and off here. There's 4 buttons just above the panel, and I've got Arpeggio 1, which brings in that strum guitar. So if I wanted to, in reality, I could actually turn the drums up, turn the bass on, and it's not actually using any of the backing parts. So although you're hearing kind of a full backing section, but because it's using the guitar from the arpeggiator, the bass from the bass section, and the drums, you've actually got a pretty nice backing, and that's not using the parts from the rhythm. So if I bring those in, I bring combo 1 in, combo 2, combo 3, and of course I've got my arpeggiator. So by mixing and choosing these different parts, you can build up some really great style sections. So if I go to my variation 4, verse 1, really cool. Plus my arpeggiator's there running, but the volume is turned down. So if I wanted to play again, I can go to fill in variation 4, which will bring all the backing parts in. bring in something to pad out the background because it can sound quite open. If I bring my lower voice in, there's a string sound just in the background. It's a really great sound, and this is just using one of the Arpeggiator patterns. Now when you install the software, and it's relatively easy to do, all you do is to select an arpeggiator. On the screen at the top of the page you have parts, which is what you normally would have. You've got arpeggio. So if you go to your parts, that's the screen you would normally see. Go to arpeggio and you can see which set of arpeggio patterns I've selected and the 4 elements that build. So ARP1 is a synth up 16th. So if I press ARP1 and in fact turn the backing down so we can hear this, and start the backing. So that's the pad I've triggered. And you can see now that the pad has actually darkened out to show that it's actually running. If I stop it, sorry, other way around. If I press ARP, it lights up to show us it's running. There we go. And if it's off, they grey out. So arpeggiation 3, it suddenly appears on the screen, and you know that's running in the background. So again, if I bring my backing parts in, quite nice without the actual drum. So if you wanted to have, like, on the screen it says refrain. So if I wanted to use this sound for refrain, I would simply press store, refrain. So now for this song, when I press refrain, it will shut my drums off. Verse 2. And bridge, which actually brings in all the parts. Super sound. Now this is using, if I go to my ARP, we've got various arpeggiation patterns. So if I go to 8-beat ballad, for example, and pick guitars 4, 8-beat 3-strum and percussion, that tells me that there's some percussion in there as well. So I actually would imagine that the Arpeggio 4 will have a drum pattern in it, or some sort of part. So if I turn off the drums, so Arpeggio 4 is actually playing a tambourine. Arpeggiation 3 is one of the strum guitars. Arpeggiation 2 is a less rhythmic pattern, and arpeggiation 1. So again, as I said before, if I bring the drums in and the bass, I've got quite a nice, easy freestyle. Play anything, and of course, depending on the style that you pick, you will find that some arpeggiator patterns will actually fit better than others. You can revoice these things as well, which is just ultra cool. So if I go to this pattern, for example, and if I mute all my parts, there's my arpeggiation voice. But if I go into the Program Assistant menu, go to Rhythm and Accompaniment, then go to Arpeggio, that's the selection of voices that I've got on the screen. So Arpeggiation 1, let's just start that. So Arpeggiation 1 is using, I don't know if you can see on the screen here, it says another clean guitar. So if I go and press there, I can pick different instruments. So that one's quite cool. So again, I can adjust the volume, so I can turn that up. I can adjust the amount of reverb on that multipad, or arpeggiator. I'll start calling it multipad. I can change the level of chorus. And then, if I just wanted to try, I can put the drums and bass in. So it starts to build up one hell of a sound. So again, bringing in my other parts from the backing. So if you think about this in real terms, the world's your lobster, because you can change these voices to anything you want. So if you wanted a piano doing that particular part, I could go to grand piano, go to a nice bright grand. You can hear that is now playing a piano part. I can even change the panning of that position of that sound. So you can go on the right, it can go on the left, it can go in the middle. Okay, so that's another very handy tool, because you can move the sound around if you wanted to. You can have it so as it will loop or only trigger once when you play the pad. So if I turn loop off, so you see the arpeggio button starts to flash to say it's stopped. So if I press it again, it will trigger. So it'll play one time through the loop and then it will stop. So if you wanted to just add a little guitar frill or a little synth frill, you can do that by turning the loop on and off. If you want it to continuously play, just make sure that the loop says on, and it will keep going and going and going. Modulation wheel adds that little bend to the guitar. It sounds so realistic, it's great. And of course, the thing that really attracts me to this instrument is you can play it live. It's a musical instrument. It's not designed to be programmed and set up, and you can just sit at it and think, okay, I want to add a guitar. I can simply press one of my arpeggiator patterns and it will bring that in. If I want to bring a drum pattern in, I know on Arpeggiation 4 it's got a tambourine going crazy. So again, if I want to bring the bass in, I can have a tambourine playing, a bass playing, and my little piano part which I've saved. Bring the drums in. It's so playable. I keep saying this. I've sat down at this keyboard many of an evening, maybe turn it on at probably about 8 o'clock and look at the clock the next time and it can be midnight and you don't realise where those 4 hours have gone, because it's so much fun to play. Because it's not like your usual keyboard where you think, oh, I've got to press this and this, and then I've got to save that, and then I've got to create another. You can literally just sit down at this keyboard and play. Now I'm not going to save that change, so I'm going to press discard, and it takes me back to the main screen. It's easy to get around. If I wanted to change the voice on the right hand, I'd just simply press there, choose the voice that I want to have. So if I wanted a nice piano, in fact, let's go to grand piano because it's got some beautiful pianos in here. It's just so realistic. And the thing that I keep telling people about this, which is very, very important, the level of touch sensitivity on this instrument is perfection. Some instruments where you play a piano, you will hear everything sounding like that because the velocity control is very bad. This I can play so quietly. So, to recap, take a deep breath. If I'm going to play a piano voice, this is called Dynamic Grand Hard. I like a bright piano, I really do. The Yamaha CFX sound is just lovely. Now what I need is a sustain pedal. I've actually ordered one. I've gone for so long without one for this instrument. I've ordered a sustain pedal because when you're playing things like that, you want it to ring and hold, and that's where you would play the sustain pedal. You take your hands off and the piano would slowly drift away. But the piano sensitivity and the choices of pianos in this is just mind-blowing. Got Grand 1 Bright. You've got things like Power Grand, which is much brighter. And then you've got upright piano section. I'm drifting off here because there's so many things to talk about with this product. So like a rock piano. So for lead voices and for melody voices, which is what I try to sort of explain them as, the keyboard has such a vast range, and you could be here all day trying to pick different sounds. But anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about this wonderful arpeggiator. I keep drifting off in different directions, so you must apologise, because there's, like I said to you, there's so much on here that you can play with, even little things like this. You've got effects. Now all these buttons across the bottom you can actually personalise. Did you know that? Yeah, you can change what these buttons actually do. So for example, I can change up and down my registration banks if I want to. This is set for transpose up and down. I've got rotor on and off, slow and fast. I can actually FX rotor pick, and then I've got these weird little sound effects, which are quite novelty. But you can go into a menu, then you go to buttons and sliders, and then you can edit and change either the slider controls here or what the buttons do. And it's quite a clever system because it personalizes the instrument to your taste. So I'm going back now to the arpeggiator. So on the arpeggiator, to choose the one that you want to use, you simply press Arpegg, which is a little button in the accompaniment selection department. And if I want to go to pop and beat or dance and modern and have an ARP machine, whatever that is, we'll find out in a minute. And then if I trigger arpeggiation 1, so just put the memory on, turn the drums off. So that's what I get with the ARP machine 1. Arpeggiation 2 in that little section. Arpeggiation 3. And arpeggiation 4. Well, that's quite nice. So some of them are actually guitar based, some of them are synth based, some have drums mixed in them. We've got an electric guitar samba mix here. That's quite good. So that consists of all 4 parts. So if I go to arpeggiation 4, it brings in that sort of nice little Latin samba mix. Arpeggiator 3. come out the main screen, I can actually go to arpeggiation and see what's triggered. So that's a guitar part. Arpeggiation 2. Arpeggiation 1. Adds another guitar section. So if I wanted to have that with the drums, you can kind of mix and match styles with whatever you want to use. So the arpeggiator is used in conjunction with the style section. If, as I said at the beginning, if I go to my introduction 1 here, I'm not actually using any arpeggiator. This is just using the manual bass with the memory turned on, and then I can play freestyle. Now to me that is an amazing function, that you can actually have the left hand part playing, and again it's all live, you're not pre-recording anything, this is just you and the instrument playing as one. And I can change that if I wanted to. I can turn off certain parts, I could change the voice in my lower. But that guitar sound, which I'm going to tell you exactly which voice we're using here. Let's have a look. So we've got Blues Warm small f FX. It's one of the most wonderful sounds in this instrument. I just love it, because I do like sort of U2 sounds, sort of music, and I like sort of something with a bit of rock to it. And this is so expressive. But the modulation wheel, if you turn the modulation wheel up, you get a really great vibrato to that. Dire Straits there for you, Brothers in Arms. Super sound. And of course then, if I want to, I can press verse 1. It automatically sets up my start on the rhythm, because when I save my registration, let me just show you. So before I save the registration, I press intro 1. Make sure autofill and sync start is lit. Okay, and then what I do is I press store 1. So that now, when I play on the left hand, because the sync start is lit, when I play, it'll start the introduction first. 2, 3, 4. So as you can see, the ability to change and play live is phenomenal. You've got, I like a keyboard with buttons. The idea of having minimal buttons and using everything on the screen, it's a bit, yeah, I'm not keen. If I can mute parts using buttons, I can control my performance live, no problem whatsoever. I can start and stop. I can turn the arpeggio on. I can even mute parts of the backing, simply. Turn the bass off. So if I just wanted to have the bass, and if I want to bring in my strings, which are on my lower, it's a great effect. And one of the things, as I said to you, the piano voices, in fact, the voices in this are very, very good. There's nothing I would complain about. Maybe would like to see a few more vocals, but that's something I believe that, again, is coming soon. Some new sounds for the Sempra. And it's one of those products that will grow and develop and get bigger and better, and things will be added. I know Claus, who works with Böhm, I know he's so proactive with this instrument. It's unreal. And I can only thank them. I can only thank everybody at Böhm for making such a marvellous product. It really is a star. And this arpeggiator has just, for me, put the icing on the cake. It really has. Because to have the ability to bring in some really great synth effects and drums and guitar pads, but in a way that I can control and save into registrations very easily, has just made this instrument really first class. So I'm going to leave it at that point. I will cover more arpeggiator patterns, and I'll also go a little bit more deeper into the arpeggiator programming, because you can actually edit the sounds and various other things in there. So there's lots of levels to this instrument. So you can simply turn it on and play, which is the real benefit of this. I feel like I'm 6 years old when I sit at this keyboard, because I remember my early organs, I could just sit and push buttons and I could get the sound that I wanted. And this is exactly how this works. I turn it on, I play it, I enjoy it. I don't have to think, oh, I've got to find a start, I've got to sit and program, I've got to save this, I've got to create that. I don't. I haven't got to create any backings to make the organ sound good. I simply just turn the style on. The style, I can, if I don't like the drums, I can now, and again I'm going to show you this next feature a little in another video, I can now, with the drum editor, actually go in and change all of the drums in the styles to a level that is just super. It really is. And I can make the styles sound mine. And I don't know if you notice on the Facebook pages, I'm starting to share some of the styles that I'm editing on the instrument and some of the revoices. And I'll also start to share some of these song settings as well. So until next time, I hope you enjoy this presentation. Please do take a look at this keyboard if you haven't got one. It really is simply phenomenal. And add to your collection. I'm not saying to replace your organ. I'm not saying to replace your keyboard. I'm saying add. There's a whole sort of theory around these instruments that you have to trade your old one in to have another one. Well, no, that's not how I work. I don't. I keep saying to people, I don't watch the same TV channel. I don't eat the same food every day. I play keyboards that I love, and this is one of them. This really is one of them. So take a look. And if you haven't got any information, please contact Claus Reiepe at Böhm, and I'll put his contact details on the video just below as well. So until next time, take care, have a great day, all the best.